Everyone, welcome to the Testing Trainer YouTube channel. In this session, we are going to discuss levels of testing. What are the levels of testing? So, test levels are the group of test activities that are organized and managed together. See, leave the theoretical definition. Okay. Now, so far in the previous session, we have discussed how to design the test cases, how to analyze the requirement, and so on. Right. So now we think like you are in a test execution phase. So when we discuss the testing life cycle, so we have different phases, right? Requirement analysis and test design, test execution. So far we used some techniques to derive some different test cases and different tests. Now we all done it. We have completed the test design, we have analyzed the requirement, we all good with everything. Now only thing that is pending is test execution. In order to execute the test, we can do it in a different way, right? For example, a software, take a software, a web application. To test the web application, usually like what we have to do, we have to open the website, take login functionality of a web application. So open the website, go to the login page, enter the valid user ID and valid password, and click login. Then user should be able to log in. This is a test execution, right? That's what we discussed in the previous sessions and all. Now in this test execution, this is not the only way. In text execution, overall test execution, this is not the only way. Surprising, right? Yes. So there are different ways you can do it, different levels. There are different ways as well, like there are different types of testing, okay? Test execution as well. And then at the same time, there are different levels of test executions. So we can do it in a different level. Why we call it as level? So we are calling this as a level because while a code is being written, we can do some testing. While a big piece of chunk of code has been written, we can do testing in that level. When the code has been integrated, then we can, the big chunk of code has been integrated, then we can do testing in that area. When a complete web application is ready and hosted, we can do the testing in that area. When the testing is all completed by the testers, and then it is going to be given to users. Before that, users can also do some testing. So there are several levels you can do this testing. Okay. Now in this session, we are going to see what are all those levels testing will be performed. Okay. Right. Now, what are all the levels of testing now? What are the levels we can do the testing? We can do the testing in unit level, component level, integration level, system testing level, acceptance level. So what are all this level? It's a bit confusing, but don't worry about it. We are going to see each and everything in detail now. Okay. Did you all remember white box testing? In few sessions, before few sessions, we have discussed this, right? Black box and white box. Let's quickly recall this. Okay. In white box testing, we don't know what is in black box testing. We don't know what is inside it. Ideally, the code. We don't know what is the code inside it, how it has been written. In white box testing, it's kind of a glass jar where you know what is there inside the jar. That means you know what is the code has been written and how it has been written, like that. When you know all these details, can you test the code? Yes, right? That is unit testing. Okay. So specifically, we can't, I mean, like that's a white box testing, but what is unit testing? So unit testing is a white box testing technique. Okay, that is you're going to test the code rather than the web application. Okay, so how? I'll give a quick overview. See, there is a web application. Okay, you have a unit get item detail, a small functionality of web application. Okay, especially I've written this based upon the e-commerce website. Okay, so you are getting an item mobile details, you're getting a price, a small unit, getting a spec, that's a small unit, getting warranty information, getting overall summary. So these are all smaller units, right? So now you can test the smaller unit. When I say this is a smaller unit, it will be like a method. So when I say method in Java, we call that as a method. Method means function. So what is function? So many questions, right? I'll write down a simple function. Okay, see, a very small function, and probably I'll write it in a JavaScript. Okay, export function get item details. So if you provide the item ID, so item details equal to, think like you're calling an API, small API. Okay, so you're going to call an API. So you're passing this item ID and getting the item info, and you're going to do some more things as well, like so blah 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 like that, and then the function goes. That's this, or maybe I will just put it something like this: item details dot id details dot price equal to. Okay, we don't need to override, we don't need to think too much on it. So you have that small function. This is what we call it as function, export function. So this is small function. You're in this item, you're in this function, you're just getting and calling an API to get an item info. Or you're just without calling an API, it doesn't need to be an API. Okay. So you're just calling an item. If to make it very simple, I can do this as well, because this is always very easy than doing something else, encoding it. Okay, so now a number, you're passing two numbers, you're going to add it. That's it, simple. Okay, return C, done. Now you are going to, so these are all functions. Okay, so these functions can be tested using unit testing. That's it, guys. Okay, that's it. I have written this function. Doesn't mean that you all need to write the function. I mean, you need to learn JavaScript or something. No, not like that. So you just learn what is unit testing. Okay, this is, we call that as a unit. Okay, okay, and we can, I mean, the big piece of function or any other code, for example a class, you can call all this as a unit. Okay, and you can write a test for it, even for a class, even for method, and then even for some other code item. So you can call that as an item, call that as a function, and you can write a unit testing for it. So how you will write a unit testing, I will just given in next slide. See, this is how a unit testing look like. So you will be writing a method to test a method. Okay, so this is a method. I mean, here I've written a whole unit test class. So you'll be writing a code. I'll just put it in this way. You will be writing a code to test a code. Okay. For example, test this kind of, similar to this kind of method. You will be writing some method to do it. Okay. Now question, Jay, you said coding won't be there in software testing. See, coding will be there, but ideally, a functional tester or a manual tester usually don't do unit testing. It is not like you should not do or you must not do unit testing. You can do the unit testing, but in usually this unit testing will be performed by developer. Okay, you got it. Rarely testers write the unit test. So happy now? Yeah. So that's it. That's it about unit testing. Okay, guys. I hope this is useful for you. Let's go to component testing. Now, next in this session, we're going to discuss component testing, integration testing, and system testing. But instead of going through like this, I have a very easy approach to make it understand. Now you all know what is a unit, right? Okay. Now I'll draw a diagram from here, and then we can start from here. Unit. Okay, I'll put it as a unit. You know what is unit? Unit is a method, a small function in a code. Okay, so that part of code will be tested using unit testing. I'm not repeating, guys. I'm just trying to teach you from the beginning. Okay, now unit testing. Multiple units of code, also a big chunk of code forms a component. Okay, so component. So this is a component. How do you call this as a component? Okay, now component testing is focuses on component that separately testable. So actually, if you come back to it, component could be the examples of work product that can be tested using test basis for component include detailed design, code, data model, component specification. It can be design document, it can be a data model, it can be a code. Okay, so now I'm giving a code example for you. Okay, so now this is a component is a big chunk of code. Okay, think like big chunk of code. I always give a real-time example, so I'll just give an example as well here. Now in previous e-commerce like unit website, we saw that get item details, but here we are going to get the overall item details. See, did you remember here? These are all units. For a mobile phone, if you open an e-commerce website, it will have a get warranty information, detail, overall summary, specification, get price, item. All this work will be done by one single component. That component is get item details. Now you understood, right? Yes. Similarly, we have other components like get card details, get payment details like that. Okay, pricing, date, all those items. So this is component, guys. So testing this component is called component testing. Hope you understand now, right? Easy. Component testing is easy, right? So how will you test? Again, in order to test this, you can do it through coding itself. Okay, you can write code to test it, or else if this get item details is hosted as an API. Okay, API is again a big topic. Okay, API is nothing but it will be a small microservices will be hosted in server. So if you call that, it will return the value. So that means if you call this get item details, it will return a response. Okay, it will be the response will be in a format of, I'll just quickly give an example. Item. Okay, it will be a format of, I'm just giving a very if it's single item, it will be like this, something like this. Okay, so item id it will be giving us id as blah blah blah, and then it will give a number. If there is an item number, then it will be as blah blah blah. Okay, like this it will have multiple fields. So that response, this request, so we'll be sending a request and we'll be getting a response. So what you will do, you will just for example put a mobile id of the mobile as Samsung S24. When you put Samsung S24, it will give all the details of it. So it can be tested through in the code, or you can do it through API testing. Okay, so now just you don't need to go detail into API testing or API. No, just forget it. Now just understand this concept. It's a unit, a small amount of code. Again, when you have a big amount of code, big piece of code, then it can be tested using the component testing. Okay, component testing. Okay, now done. Now I hope you understood what is unit testing and component testing. Now let's move to integration testing. Okay, now before I'll just put it in a diagram. So always pictorial representation will be very helpful. Okay, usually I like pictorial representation. So if I, instead of telling a PPT slide, I think this will make you easily understand these things. Okay, so I have components. I better number it actually, so that will be useful. Component 1, component 2, component 3. So there will be there will be three. There will not be a one in e-commerce website. We know that this is getting lots of units are there here, so there will be multiple units. Okay, there will be multiple units contribute to the component. Okay, now this multiple units contributes to a component. So and then now there won't be a single component in a big web application, right? So now we discuss this component as a get item details. There will be other functionality like get card details, get payment info, so many things are there, right? So in order to get all the detail, there will be multiple components in the system, correct? So we'll be testing this component using the component testing, we'll be testing this using component testing, this will be unit testing, unit testing. Now how do we know the interaction between, oh, how do we know the interaction between these two is working? How do we know the interaction between, wait a minute, these two is working? Okay, how do we know the interaction is like this? These two is working. Hold on. Okay, you got the concept, right? Yes. So we are just talking about interaction, communication between these components. Okay. So now how to make sure this component communication is working? Okay. So in order to make sure the integration, we can integrate now. This is not simply, it's an integration. Like you will be, it's not like a communication. I would say that integrating. So that means you put all this together, right? And then this needs to, sometimes this needs to talk to this component to talk to this component. So how to make sure that is working? That can be, um, so not only this interaction between the components, but also several interactions in the system. Okay, between the system or between anything. So that interaction and that integration, testing that integration is called integration testing. Okay, that is called integration testing. Okay, now there are two concepts in integration testing. Okay, but I don't want to talk about it now. I'll talk about it in the session little bit later. Okay, so that is called integration testing. Okay, so integration testing focuses on interaction between component or systems. Okay, and objective, so the overall objective of all this is to reduce the risk and finding the defects, issues if there is anything, and then making sure the quality is going well. That's it. Okay, the examples of this can be testing using, so especially in previous session, which is component testing, it was code, data model, and component specification. But in integration, the work product that we have to use it for testing is software and system design, similar to that. But here's the sequence diagram important. What is sequence diagram? So sequence diagram is nothing but, yeah, for example, I'll just give a small overview sequence diagram, because you have to know it. Then only you know how to test this integration. So now think about it, this is component 1 and this is component 2. So in the sequence diagram, they will mention how this component talk to each other. So they will say like 1 talk to 2, 2 talk to 3, but 3 doesn't talk to 1. That means you do not need to test 3 is talking to 1, because that's not integrated in that way. I'm just giving everything in a simple and high level way, but there are more detailed concepts of sequence diagram. Sequence diagram will not be looking very simple like that, it will be very complex document. Sometimes it is complex, sometimes it will be simple. So, but this interaction will be given. So using this interaction, you have to establish the how that components talk to each other. Got it? Now, that is what you, so this is all about integration testing, guys. I hope you know what is integration testing. Yeah, we are going to, this components won't be isolated separately. These components will be integrated together. Checking that integration is called integration testing. Cool. Now let's move on to the next important topic. So I'm putting this I have just added this diagram. See, previously we are checking the components. Same thing. I'm just putting in different diagram. You're just making sure the interaction between the components is working. Okay. But leave this one. Let's go to system testing. Okay. What is system testing? To all the testers and also people who wanted to get into the testing industry, listen carefully. This is an important test execution technique. Okay, not a technique, test execution mechanism. System testing. What is system testing? Okay, now unit, component, code, everything is done. Your application, web application, take a web application is ready, hosted in somewhere. You're going to type www something some.com. Okay, and then you click it. You see a beautiful web page of your project. Okay, testing that web page is called system testing, guys. That's it. Okay, that is system testing. So testing the actual system. That is an actual system, right? So testing that actual system is called system testing. Okay. Now, most of the manual testers, functional testers in website or in any other site, so they will be doing this testing. 70% they'll be doing this testing only. Okay, this is the most commonly used testing for manual testers. Okay, and also for automation testers. So that's why I'm saying system testing is a very important concept. Okay, but it's very easy concept as well. Okay, how it's easy? Same example. Open a web page, go to login screen, enter user ID and password, click login, and making sure it login is successful. This testing we are doing, right? This is system testing. This will come under system testing only. Okay, now you understood, right? That's it, guys. It's very simple. Now let's go back to the diagram. Okay, but I moved to this diagram, but just don't get scared that again we are going to talk about coding or anything. Okay, see, now many units contribute to components. Many components contribute to a system. Now we call this a system because now everything inside it, okay, this is system. Okay, this is a overall system. So overall software is will be looking like a very big ocean. Actually it will be contributed of so many things, and you see that as a web page. Whatever you're seeing in the web page will be looking like a very simple thing to you, but there are lots of hard work has been done behind the scenes. Okay, now testing, this part is called system testing. Okay, now you know what is unit testing, component testing, system testing. Okay, and did you remember, like I mentioned that there are two types of integration testing. Okay, in integration testing there are two levels you can be tested. One is component integration testing, second is system integration testing. Okay, now let's see component integration testing. Component integration is fairly simple, what we discussed before. When there is an interaction or integration between the components, when all components are integrated, I'll give an example definition like this. When all components are of the software integrated together, then that integration is being tested. That testing is called component testing. So you're testing the integration between 1 and 2, 3 and 2, 2 and 1. So that integration testing, that making sure the integration is working fine is called integration testing. Now, this component integration will be further classified into several three types. But we are not going to get detailed. There are something as there are two ways, two important concept called top down and bottom up approach. I will just give that top down and bottom up approach. It's very simple way, like within this arrow. Okay, so think about this arrow. Top, this is coming from top to down, and it's coming from bottom to up. Okay, when the component integration is tested from top to bottom of a software, for example, think this is in top level, this is in bottom level. When it is tested from top to bottom level like this, okay, then that is called top to bottom. Okay, I'm just giving a very simple example, guys, but it is, again it will go but deep into it, but mostly we won't be doing this level of testing. Okay, frequently, I mean frequently or commonly, so that's the reason I'm just giving less importance to it. So that is called top to bottom. When you do it from the integration testing from bottom to up, from here to here, this level to this level, then this is called uh, bottom. Okay, I'm just drawing this diagram so that, okay, so when it's go from bottom to up, then it's called bottom up approach. So this is all about the component integration testing. That's nothing but we already discussed this same thing, component integration. Now what we didn't discuss is that what we did not discuss is system integration testing. Okay, there is another integration testing is called component integration testing. You know very well. What is system integration testing? Okay, we have not discussed it. It's a new concept, so please listen. This is the e-commerce system, right? Yes. Okay. E. I hope you are using Amazon or eBay. Okay. So the e-commerce website. Now, the e-commerce website will talk to several other websites. Did you know that? Yes, it's good to learn for today. For example, a delivery system. So delivery partner will be a different guy. Okay, different delivery partner system. So as soon as you place the order, you receive after 2 days, but actually there are big amount of work that's happening behind. This order will be given to the delivery partner system in a software. Okay, they will send the software information to this guys. Now this guys will have a own set of components, everything. Okay, they have a unit. This is another complete system. Okay, so they have all that information, complete system. This will be another complete system. Okay, like this will be complete system, but this is a huge system, but it will be a smaller system. So it will go to from here to here. Then after reaching the system, then it will notify a person, okay, the actual person, and this person will be delivering the product. Got it? So there is an intermediate system here. Okay, and there will be there will be several other systems as well that will talk to this guy. Okay, that will talk to this guy, okay, in one or another way. So but you are think like you are working for Amazon, so you'll be testing Amazon. That is fairly straightforward. But even though you work for Amazon, but Amazon is interacting with the delivery partner system. So you have to test this integration between two systems. You'll be integrating the system and they will be communicating with each other. So you have to check whether that integration is working fine or not. That is called integration testing, system integration testing. Okay, so guys, when I learned system integration testing, I didn't get this kind of an examples and everything, but I'm giving a very good example. So just listen carefully, you will easily get it. So I'm just marking this as system 1 and I'm marking this as system 2. Before wrap, I'll just give an overview as well, so don't worry about anything if you didn't learn it or if you didn't understand it. Okay, so system 1, system 2, system 3. So making sure the interaction between the systems are working fine, then that is called system integration testing. See, e-commerce system, delivery system, there will be pricing system. So it will be clubbed together and you can see it in the front end. So that overall integration should also work right, or else as soon as you place the order, you won't be getting the delivery at all. So that's the reason. So you have to test that as well. So that is called system integration testing. I hope this clarifies you. Okay, now we are going to wrap this session. Okay, before we wrap the session, I'm going to give a quick overview using this diagram again. So people who understood 50%, 30%, 60%, I'm trying my best to make you understand 100%. Okay, so listen carefully. Now, this is a software. This is a piece of software. Okay, take this as an Amazon web application. Now in this Amazon web application, I have little bit units. How the units will look like? Units will be looking like some functions. Okay, sometimes a class, sometimes a function. So that type of unit will be tested using the code again using the code. That is called unit testing. Now there are multiple units, multiple code that contributes to a big component. Okay, so example of that component, how the component look like. Component will be looking like a big chunk of code. Okay, sometimes we can test models as well, but now here I'm giving example of code. So it will be looking like a big chunk of code. Instead of giving an overview of big chunk of code, I'll just open this one and see how the component look like. See, it will be looking like this: get item details. It will just get the item details alone. Okay, but it will get, for example, blah blah blah. Okay, but it will give item details of all the item. I mean, like if you give Samsung S24, it will get return the value of overall summary, warranty, specification, reviews, rating, what is the amount of the mobile, everything will be there inside this component. So the component is capable to return all this thing. Okay, that is called component, and testing, that is called component testing. And now in component testing, how the testing we can do either through API or through code. Okay, done. Right, now these are all. Now there will be multiple components in the system. All the components are clubbed together and put it, and then they can become a system. Okay, overall system. right? Now how overall system looks like, go and open an Amazon .in or any other website. When you see a web page, that's how overall system look like. Simple, right? Now if you go to login screen, then that's overall system. Then the overall system, testing that overall system in a front end or anywhere. Okay, so in the front end you can do it, or you can do it in a database as well. So whenever you can do that testing, I will give a fairly simple example, testing a login page. Enter username and password, login, making sure it's working. That is called system testing, guys, right? Now next, there will be a multiple system in a big software. Big, for example, Amazon is a very big entity. Now with there will be multiple system will be there with them. Okay, so the interaction between the system will be tested. That testing is called system integration testing. That testing is called system integration testing. Now, like how we are doing system integration testing, similarly multiple common component talk to each other, then that testing, that is called, sorry, component integration testing. That testing, that interaction or integration between the component is called component integration testing. So now we have seen all the different types of testing, levels of testing. Okay, I hope at least, I'm very sure at least 70, 80 or 90% you'll be getting all this thing. That should be enough. When you go back to the testing overall, so if you are a tester already, then you have get an advanced information about it. If you don't, if you're not a tester, you wanted to go into the career of testing, or you are a student, whenever you get an opportunity to start testing, you will understand all these things when you lively do all the testing. Okay, thank you so much.